guys, I am back finally. It's been like 2.5 weeks. I'm 2.5, almost 3 weeks behind. And I want to make excuses, but I'm not. Because, I mean, life just gets in the way. And that's the point about like keeping commitments to yourself, right? You say, I'm going to be disciplined, I'm going to go to the gym, and then before you know it, like it's holiday season. So normally I try to record at least 2 videos at a time. Or if I'm doing content, I try to knock out as much as possible. And so before I knew it, Thanksgiving happened. And then last week I was in Vegas. And then I've been sick most of this week. And so I'm just like, okay, no excuses though. So for that reason, I just wanted to do, well, first I want to say happy holidays to everyone who celebrates. Christmas is coming up. Thanksgiving just passed. I hope you had a great time with your families. If you have lost any loved ones, I know we did this time last year, and it's been really hard on my family. And so I just want to send you well wishes and send you all the grace and all the peace, and just try to make the best of the holidays as possible, because I know it's not easy for a lot of people. And then another thing is just like, you know, Christmas is coming up, and I'm like, I don't have a tree this year. I don't have all the superficial stuff that's coming along with Christmas, because I don't know, the older I've gotten, I've just cared less about it. Honestly, it's not about that. Like, I just want to see my family, make sure everybody's healthy, everyone is good. We play games, you know, we have drink competitions, we paint, we do all the family stuff. And to me, like, that's more so what the holidays have been about. It's just really been about, you know, creating memories. And for that, I'm so grateful. And for that reason, I'm really excited. So happy holidays to everybody. I have a topic that I want to talk about on here. But first, I told y'all I was in Vegas last week, right? If you know, you know, okay? I got to see Usher. Y'all, I'm going to insert this tweet from July. I've been trying my best to get to see Usher Raven since July. Guess what, y'all? I made it. And that's all that matters, right? That's all that freaking matters, because I went by accident. I had just given up my dream. After the Keke Palmer situation, I wanted to go before then, but after the Keke Palmer stuff happened, the tickets went through the roof, y'all. Tickets were like $200 or $300, and then after that, they were like $700, $800 just to sit, like, not even on the floor. And so we literally just gave up hope on going. And a few weeks ago, my aunt called me, and she's like, a few weeks ago, a few weeks from Thanksgiving, my aunt called and she's like, hey, listen, you know, the Usher tickets have gone back down, so here's the thing. I'll pay for the hotel, I'll pay for the Usher tickets if y'all can just get y'all's flights, but we're gonna have to go like within the next few weeks. I was on the I-10 by 10. Okay, what? You gonna pay for me to see Usher and the hotel? Listen, everybody, if you watch this channel, you know that I quit my job, so funds are limited. But let me tell you something. When you really want to do something, you will make a way. And I made a way. Now, I had to fly ghetto Spirit. I will write. I will present in front of millions of people. I will give an entire dissertation on why Spirit Airlines should not exist. Oh my God. Spirit is, I've flown Spirit maybe 4 times in my life. And one of those times I was a broke college student, so that doesn't count. But in my adult life, I have just had the worst experiences. Anything you could think of that Spirit can add on a fee for, or that's just like gonna make your flight experience 10 times more horrible, they do it. You pay a cheap price for that ticket, but let me tell you something. You pay emotionally. And physically too. You pay emotionally for everything else, and they're gonna get you with every single fee they can get. I cannot stand Spirit. I understand that it's an affordable option for some people, but I'm just telling y'all, the last 2 times I've had to fly them, it's because emergencies have happened, or just situations like this where I have to get a ticket and fly out within 2 or 3 weeks. And other airlines are just way too expensive. And if you are not flying with just a purse, do not fly Spirit. If you are, I gotta pull a Dr. Umar. If you are not flying, if you are flying with anything other than a purse, you can cancel it. Oh my goodness, I will tell y'all. Every other airline, what's the baggage? The baggage weight, 50 pounds. Everybody knows that across the board, 50 pounds. Every other airline, not Spirit. I'm already anxious that I have to fly Spirit. I packed my dang suitcase. I weighed it at home because I'm like, I need to make sure. My suitcase was 48 pounds. I'm like, oh, that's great. I get to the airline. They said, your bag is like 9 pounds overweight. It's 49 pounds. I said, it's 50. I mean, like, what's the big deal? He was like, oh, no, baby, this is Spirit. I said, what? What do you mean? He was like the baggage weight is not 50, it's 40. So, what do y'all want me to do? Well, you can either step to the side and pull 9 pounds out of your suitcase, or you can pay $90, it was $89, $90. You can pay $90 each way to get your baggage whooped. Or you can pay $80 for a carry-on and go buy a carry-on bag. What? Man, if y'all don't get out of here with this, I was so mad. I sat there and I held up the line and I got my pea coat out. I got like 2 coats out. Thank God I only had coats in there like that probably weighed something because I was going and I didn't know how cold it was going to be because I've been to Vegas like around January before and it was so cold. So I had to carry like 3 coats through the airport. I had to put some on because they were like, oh, they may try to charge you if you have too much stuff in your hands for a carry-out. I mean, just either way, it's not about Spirit. I have turned into a Southwest girly because they give you 2 free bags, and I just feel like that is just the right thing to do. I always pack, I overpack, and I just never had problems with Southwest. I used to be a Delta girl, but if you fly often, Delta has just not been, it has just not been the most classy experience that it used to be. Delta used to be kind of like a superior experience, and now it's kind of like, just give me Southwest. Yes, you have to pick your seat, but baby, the 2 bags, every time it's gonna get me. Every time, I don't have problems. My bag overweight, you know what Southwest does? They put an overweight sticker on that bag and they push it through. Take a hint, Spirit. Either way. So I finally get to Vegas by the hook or by the crook, honey, and I get there, and another tip we found on TikTok with the tickets. If you don't mind risking it, wait a few hours before and get your tickets. So we knew we wanted to see Usher. That was one of our main reasons for going, but we waited to get our tickets. So y'all, we went to the will call desk like probably like 4 or 5 hours before the show. Best decision ever. We thought we were going to be in section 200, which we were okay with. Let me tell y'all something. Floor seats to see Usher were $3,000 online. We didn't even pay half of that. We paid under $1,000 to sit on the floor. They were like, you know what? We were like, how close can we get for the best price? The lady pulled up the seat. She was like, we actually have literally, like, they had like maybe 5 seats on the 3rd row on the floor. Y'all, we booked them tickets so quick. We were so excited for the rest of the day. We were like, we see it. Usher, this is about to be a ball. And let me tell y'all something. Usher did not disappoint. He did not disappoint at all. This show, you can't, where are my words? If it's not Beyonce or Usher in this generation, and even probably a generation before, of course we're going to put Michael in there because I mean it's Michael Jackson, but honestly right after that, if you're going to put, you can't, in alive, Beyonce and Usher, you're not gonna get a better show. The artistry, from the lights to the background singing, to the theatrics of it all, to outfit changes, to actually vocally singing and sounding good and dancing. Man, listen, this show, Usher, okay, I know a lot of people have seen it online, but if you haven't, Usher has a segment where he skates. He has a segment where whatever celebrity comes to the particular show, like he serenades the guests. He had strippers. He had like this stripper segment. It was actually the classiest way you could do a strip scene. It was very cool. But he had like this stripper set up while they were skating. He had You know, of course he had the things where he kind of got lifted up and stuff. I mean, it was just a freaking show. I'm about to insert a clip because y'all, I was so close I could hear Usher tap. You could hear the as they were dancing. That's how close I was. Okay? On the show. I miss Usher. I want to go back. Also, I went for the very last weekend that his residency was there, because he extended it like 2 or 3 times. So this was the very last weekend, and so I feel like we just got like such a spectacular show. That show was like maybe 2.5 hours long. It was a good show. We had a time, okay? We had a ball. This was a great show. I haven't been to a concert in a while. I hate that I said I was not going to miss Beyonce anymore, because I feel like she's about to wrap it up. But I pray not. I hope she just tours until she's 90, because I know it's going to be a good show. But I didn't get to go to her concert because, of course, I picked the greatest year to quit my dang job. And so I just didn't want to be spending money extra on stuff like that. And so, yeah, so I hadn't been to a concert in a long time. And just to go and see Usher, Usher Raymond, you did that. So Usher is headlining the Super Bowl, and they said that it was rumored that he might be going on tour next year. I think it's going to be worth every piece of money if you decide to go, because I want to insert as many clips as I can for you all, because I was just that. And I'm not a starstruck kind of person. Like, I have my artists that I enjoy, but that was just genuinely a good show. Genuinely a good show. Yeah, so that's it. I just wanted to give kind of like a recap of why I've missed my 2 weeks. But from here on out, I'm back week after week, not quitting until I get to 100 videos. Y'all hold me to it, okay? So this week, the topic I want to talk about, I kind of want to just do a life update first, and then I want to do a topic because of the new year. And the topic that I want to talk about is home ownership. As you all know, I'm a real estate agent, or if you don't know now, you know. I'm a real estate agent in Georgia, and I just wanted to, I find myself always, a lot of times when you're a new agent, you work with a lot of first-time home buyers. And so I just wanted to share some tips on first-time home buying, just general stuff that you can Google, but still that people don't know if you're not in the industry. Or maybe you want to prepare to actually buy a home next year, or maybe next year is your year of preparation. You're like, okay, I'm gonna start putting my ducks in a row so that I can buy a home. So I really wanted to talk about that, especially since we're about to start the new year. And that's really gonna be my topic for this, just general information that you can go over, that you can write down and keep if you're preparing for home ownership next year or in the future. But before I do that, I wanted to just do a quick life update. Life update number 1, I saw Usher. That was so fun. If you don't know, I'm from Tennessee, so I went home for Thanksgiving, and I turned around and went to Vegas. And then to exciting news, so I'm making leeway with my fashion brand, my official luxury fashion brand. I found fashion classes to take, because I'm not going to fashion school. I'm just not putting myself in debt to go to school. So I found classes that I could take in Georgia, which is perfect, because a lot of classes are like LA, New York, and a lot of the good internships are there. So I'm trying to find a way next year. If y'all go back to my second video, I think I said next year, 2024 is my year of fashion, okay? I'm going to Milan in Italy. I'm going to Milan next year, and I'm going to Paris, but I'm going to both of their fashion weeks. They're in September. Holding myself to that, I'm going. So I've already started applying for internships for anything. I'm like, I'll be an assistant backstage. I just want to learn the industry. I just want to learn what I need to learn to successfully launch a luxury brand. So yes, I'm making leeway on that, and I'm excited. I can't decide. They have classes for January, and I don't know if that's a little too quick. In February, I'll be gone, like 2 times in February because that's my birthday month. Side note, y'all, I'm turning the number after 29. You know what? It's a blessing to get older. It's a blessing to get older. It's a blessing to get older. That's me talking to myself. So yeah, my birthday's coming up, and I know I'll be out of town then, so I'll either take classes in January or March, and then they have 2 others that I can take. So I'm excited about that. So next year, fashion classes, fashion week, and I have a set launch date for the brand because we've gotten through one sketch. Yeah, I'm so excited. So if you don't know, I'm designing luxury shoes and purses, and we're hiring a sketch artist at the top of January, but we want to nail down as many ideas as we can right now. And so I think I'm ready to set a date on it, and it's going to be, I'm not going to tell y'all anything else about it though, or should I? Whatever. It's going to be spring of 2025. That is my goal date. We should have samples. We should have everything down this year, but spring 2025, you heard it here first. And I'm just excited to put a date on it. I feel like it's this quote that's like, goals without dates are just dreams. And so, or like stuff that you want to do without a date is just a dream. And so you need to make them actual goals. And when you put a date beside something, you can actually, or you're more likely to accomplish that goal. So yeah, spring 2025, we're still doing classes. We're going to Fashion Week, and we're just really building the fashion network. So that's a little life update. And I just sold a house this week. Yay! I closed on Monday, and I just had I had 2 more going. Actually, what's today? Saturday? Yeah, I had 2 houses going to contract today. So I'm excited. I'm really hoping for 2 more by the end of December. Even though that's in like a couple of weeks, that's still a goal. So real estate is going well, and I'm just really trying to use real estate to actually fund my fashion dreams. So yeah, that's a little life update for me on real estate, on fashion, and just the fact that I gotta see Usher. I'm just not gonna get over that. Okay, so let's get into it. So I want to talk about home ownership, and I just want to start off with some very simple stuff. I first want to start off by breaking down the home buying process for anybody that's interested. And I'm going to pull it up here because I'll probably just put it across the screen so you can just see. This is a little bit of the presentation I go through with people when it's their first time buying a home. And just because it just kind of gives you step by step, very simple, of what the process is going to look like. And I'm going to go into detail about kind of the first 2 because those are the ones that kind of load most of the questions. So first, you'll have your pre-approval. After you get your pre-approval, you'll go through your home search. After your home search, you'll make an offer. After you do your offer, you'll go through a period of what we call due diligence. And after due diligence, it's finalized. And that sounds simple, right? And just keep it that way. That's the gist of the process. Now, it's a lot that goes into each of those steps, but that's literally all there is to the process. So let's just talk a little bit about it. A pre-approval. So what a pre-approval is, it's a statement from a bank saying, hey, this is how much we'll lend you. You put in all your information, you give it to this bank, you give it to a mortgage lender, a lender of your choice. You can talk to an agent and they'll say, hey, we work with certain lenders. Most of us have preferred partners. Or you can find one on your own. You can go to a bank. If you bank with someone, you've been banking with them for a long time, it's a good way to continue building a relationship. You can go to your local credit union, or you can just, of course, ask for recommendations. Lenders are everywhere. So you go to a lender and they're going to ask for some critical pieces of information. And this is what I always tell people when starting off buying a home. Get a file together. Get you a Google Doc file and put all of these documents in there and just keep them current. Put your last 30-day bank statement, your last 2 weeks of pay stubs, and your last 2 years of tax returns. Now, most banks are going to ask for that off rip. They may ask for a little more, but those are the gist of what you're going to get asked for. So have those ready. That way, if you want to quote with so for example, I work with Zillow as well. Zillow's offering $1,500 credits at the end of somebody's term. At closing for someone. So I have clients who will get with our preferred lender and they'll go with Zillow and they'll give them the same information and say, who's going to give me the best offer? Who can give me the most programs? Whatever. Do what's best for you. There are certain lenders you don't have to go. I mean, after more than 2, you really don't have to do that, because most of them are going to kind of, especially depending on your state, they're going to tell you the first time home buyer benefits. They're going to tell you what their company offers, what kind of credits they give. And so, but I would urge to at least maybe try 2, just to see what's out there, to see what they can offer you. One company may give you a better interest rate. You know, one company may have a better down payment assistance program. You never know. But keep a file of all of those documents, because that's the gist of what they're going to ask for. Now, I'm not a lender, so please consult with an official lender. I'm an agent. You know, my goal is to make sure we get you to the closing table, is to make sure you pick the right home, and to make sure those contracts and everything is copacetic. But the lending portion is they take an even more detailed test than we do, kind of how we take our agent test. They take a test as well, because they have to make sure they know their stuff. So it's a whole different set of guidelines. So I don't want you all to just kind of hang on to everything. I'm just kind of giving you, I'm just painting the picture of what lenders are kind of looking for. But when you talk to a lender, they'll go into more detail and tell you exactly, you know, everything you need to know. So pretty much, this lender is going to ask you for all this information to build your profile, and they'll tell you like, hey, based on what you've given, you know, of course, your credit score is going to play a factor, but you gather those documents, you submit them to a lender, your credit score, they'll pull your credit score, they'll do a soft hit. It's not a hard hit yet, and it's a soft hit. So they'll pull your credit, and they'll say, hey, we'll give you $300,000 for your home. That is a pre-approval. It is not final. Most pre-approvals last about 90 days. So you can keep them up to 3 months, meaning that if you start now, you know, you have 3 months from today. If you got your pre-approval letter, whenever you get it, you have 3 months from today to use that same letter to put in an offer on a home. That's how long it's good for. So based on the preliminary information, the bank is saying, hey, we'll give you this amount of money. We'll give you $300,000 for your home. Use this letter within the next 3 months, and then we'll start. Now, once you actually start your process, once you find a home and you submit your information, then they'll do a hard pull, because they're securing a loan for you. So then you'll get a hard hit to your credit. But pre-approvals are soft hits. But that's just what it is. It's a letter that you give to a real estate agent and say, hey, this is what I'm approved for. This is the budget that you shop in. The only way you can shop outside of a budget of pre-approval is what you're paying in cash. If you're looking at $350,000 homes and a bank is saying, oh, we're going to give you $300,000, if you don't submit something saying, hey, can I get higher? They're going to say, okay, do you have any other assets? You know, maybe like retirement accounts. Do you have a bigger savings? They may give you an increase, but a lot of times that number that they give you is kind of, they can kind of gauge what they'll be able to push in that realm. So if they give you $300,000 and you're looking at $350,000 homes, be prepared on top of all of your costs to pay an extra $50,000. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I'm sorry, y'all. Also, I told y'all I was under the weather a little bit, so I'm still a little stuffy. Another thing that I want to talk about when it comes to lending, because that's kind of like general knowledge, like pre-approvals. One thing that really gets people out of the pre-approvals are lenders use what we call debt-to-income ratio. There is a front end and a back end ratio. Lenders, I hope y'all are not watching this. Do not quote me. I'm somewhere near there though, y'all. So listen to my advice, because I wouldn't just give y'all no BS, but I get them switched up. So lenders, don't kill me. I'll make sure I'm getting everything right. But I think the front end is pretty much whatever you gross. Let's say your salary is, I don't know, $4,000 a month. They're going to take your salary divided by the home expense. So if you're looking at a $300,000 home, they're going to use whatever that monthly payment in a home is going to be. Most people pass that. Most people, because you pay rent, most people pass the front end portion. Most people pass the front end portion of debt to income. It's just simply taking your debt, not your debt. It's just simply taking your pay divided by the expenses. Can you afford this actual home? The back end is what gets 98% of people, 99% of people. The back end is your expenses by your gross. And I want to say, now this I really don't know, but it depends on the company as well. But I want to say your back end, it can't be like more than like maybe like 50%. and maybe like 47 for some companies, 45, but it's somewhere around that range, around 45 to 50%. What that means is if they add up all the debts that you have, your car note, all of your consistent bills, how much you're paying for rent, all of your debt that is reported, if they record all of that and they divide it by your grossly, will you have enough left to cover your loan? Or what is that percentage going to look like? And if that percentage is above 50, you will not qualify for a certain amount. They'll even lower the amount you qualify for, or sometimes you won't qualify for a loan at all. And unfortunately, a lot of people I've seen debt to income as high as, the highest I've honestly seen has been like high 80s. That's a lot of debt. And so that's the part that people may not be common knowledge that gets people. It's, if your car note is $700 and your insurance is another $400, guys, you're paying like $1,100 or $1,200 in just your car alone. That's not including any other expenses. So if your income is not high enough to cover your debt and what the bank is deeming, what this house payment is going to be, that may be why you say, hey, I make great money. Like, I'm making like $80,000 a year. It's just me in a home. I'm confused on why my amount is not higher or what's going on. You may have a lot of debt that the bank is maybe deeming risky. Does that make sense? So yes, that's just think of it that way. That's debt to income. You can Google it and put it and calculate your own debt to income ratio, but that's the gist of what it is. It's pretty much kind of your expenses, your debts over what your monthly is. And if that bank says, hey, our debt to income threshold is 40%, you cannot come in above 40%. If you come in 41, they will not do it. They have to stick to those guidelines because they have to have thresholds. And that part is what gets a lot of people out of home ownership. So pay down as many debts as you can. Your credit card debts, those are very important. Car, we see a lot of car. Mostly it's cars and credit cards that kind of gets a lot of people. That are like extremely high car notes and stuff. That's kind of what knocks people out. But just when you're preparing for home ownership, just get as much debt down as possible, because it's only going to increase your chances. One, you want to get out of debt as possible, much debt as possible, regardless. But when buying a home, it could increase your chances of getting a higher approval, or honestly, it's just going to help you overall. Could help with interest rate, could help with all that. That part I really don't know. But yes, I just know having less debt means you're a little less risky when it comes to a loan. Another question. I wrote down some questions that I know I get a lot from first-time home buyers. And so I just wanted to talk about those. So we know what a pre-approval is. We know about debt to income ratio. What is due diligence? So I told you, you do your pre-approval, you do your home search, you put in an offer, your offer is accepted. Due diligence is a period. Normally it's about 5 to 7 days, no more than that. Most due diligence does not get that much time unless you're doing like a commercial deal. So due diligence is a time. It's the date, it's a time frame that you have as the buyer to back out of the deal. It's the time for you to get your inspection, and that way if your inspection comes back and it says, hey, something is completely wrong with this roof. I know it looks good, but it doesn't. Then your agent is going to go back to the other agent and say, hey, they're saying something is wrong with this roof and it's going to cost $7,000 to fix. You can either give my client $7,000 in closing, or you all need to fix the roof by the time this property closes. And if they say no, the property is going to be sold as is, you can just say, hey, I'm washing my hands with it, give my client their earnest money back, all is well. So you'll have, if you don't know what earnest money is a way to show it's a way to show a seller that you're serious about getting a property. So once you get your offer accepted, so you find this home that you like, let's start from scratch. You got your $250,000 pre-approval. You go to your agent, you say, hey, here's my pre-approval. Your agent goes, you all go home searching, you're stressed out, and you finally find something that you like. You take that and you submit the offer. And the agent calls you back and says, congratulations, you now are under contract for this home. You are now under a legally binding contract. In those days, you have what you call earnest money. Earnest money is normally due maybe 3 to 5 days within the deal. You'll send that to an attorney that keeps an escrow. Money Listen to me closely. You do not send money directly to agents. If an agent is asking you for money, I don't know about other states. In the state of Georgia, if someone is asking you for money, we cannot do that. Agents do not touch money. Not a seller's agent, not a buyer's agent. You submit your money to an attorney. Your attorney is going to be outlined by your agent. They'll tell you, hey, this attorney is going to email you wiring instructions, or they're going to call you, and the attorneys will. So that money is kept in escrow. It's called like good faith money. So, and normally earnest money is about 1% of the purchase price. So I think we just had like a deal, a $250,000 deal. So the earnest money was $2,500. So that is kept in escrow. During your due diligence period, your money is protected. So as long as you cancel, honestly, you can cancel for whatever reason in 7 days. You can just say, hey, I changed my mind. Your money, your earnest money, your $2,500, let's we're using a $250,000 home for an example, your $2,500 is protected during this time. You can back out for whatever reason, but it's your time as a buyer to get an inspection. You don't have to. I personally, as an agent, I do not encourage any of my buyers. I don't care how new, how renovated, whatever. Only on new constructions. Other than that, we're getting an inspection every time. It's worth it. Inspections could run from $300 to $400. It's worth every penny. The inspector is on your side. They're going to go through every nick and cranny of that house. They're going to say, hey, it's a scratch upstairs in bedroom 2, may need to get a painter, because that's their job. They're just there to tell you. And sometimes inspections can be overwhelming, so your agents a lot of times will go through the inspection themselves, and then we'll call you and say, hey, here are the things that stand out to me. We're going to go back to the seller and we're going to ask them to either update these things or give us money for it in closing. Does that make sense? So that's what a due diligence period is. It's kind of your chance to do process of whatever you want done on that property. If you want to go in and see how the paint is, it's just your 7 protected days. After that due diligence period, your earnest money is not protected anymore. If you decide on the 8th day your due diligence ends that, hey, I just want to cancel, that the other party, they can say, okay, we're going to keep that earnest money. So it's very important that during that due diligence period, while it is very quick, it's important that you get the necessary inspections done. Now, you have other contingencies that may not bind you to that contract. For example, your bank is going to make you get, or going to do appraisals. Anytime a bank has a loan on it, they want to make sure the home is good too. So what they'll do is, the bank will say, okay, you finished your inspection, that's great. We're about to go ahead and send an appraiser. They'll send an appraiser out, and their appraiser's job is to tell you the property value of a home. So they're going to do a lot of what the inspector doing. They're going to go through every nook and cranny of the house, and they're going to say, hey, this home is worth X, Y, and Z. Agents do not interact with the appraisers. It can be considered a conflict of interest. It's just you don't want to sway anyone's decisions or opinions. We're not to be involved in that process. That is just strictly what they're here to do. So they're going to go, they're going to tour the property, they're going to do all their inspections and everything and say, hey, this property is worth $256,000. Now, it's up to your agent to tell the other agent, hey, it appraised over. Most of the time we don't. Because we don't want to give them like a negotiating power saying, oh, it's worth more. You tell your client you can up the price. So if it's more, most of the time the agents won't say, they'll say, whew, we did good on negotiating. If it's less, you'll have an appraisal contingency there in most contracts. And what the appraisal contingency means is that, let's say it comes back and that home is, we're using $250,000 home, right? Let's say it appraises for $240,000. Well, because you have an appraisal contingency, your agent is going to say, okay, we're going to call up the seller's agent and say, hey, this home is appraising for $240,000, not $250,000. My client's not going to pay for that. That's a $10,000 gap. So what we can do is we can renegotiate, and we'll give you $240,000 for the home, and negotiate whatever closing, whatever you want. We'll put it there. Or, you know, like I just don't, my client doesn't want to pay $10,000 more than what a home is, what they're saying the home is worth. And that is the time, the only other time, well, it's one of the only other times other than after due diligence that you can cancel, because you'll have certain contingencies. So it depends on the contract. There are different contingencies that can get you out and protect your earnest money, but in most cases after the due diligence period, it's very important that you understand you are under contract and they can sue for that, either the full purchase price or at minimum get your earnest money back after that 7 days. Now, if the home does not appraise, most appraisal contingencies will protect your earnest money as well. And honestly, too, I want to let you all know this. The seller can do what they want with their property. If it appraises for $240 and they want to sell it for $255, it does not matter. They can sell it for that. So they can full well say, no, we're going to keep it at the $250, or your seller or your buyer can walk, and they have the right to do so. The only thing about the contingency is that at least if you back out as the buyer, your money's protected. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm making sense for you all, because I want to really just kind of knock down some of the stuff that, sorry. Does that make sense? I hope so. I just want to make sure I'm kind of knocking down some of the questions and explaining things that the beginning process kind of works. I feel like I'm approaching my 30-minute mark, as I always do. See, I just talk too much. But let me just wrap up a few additional quick questions that people ask. And if y'all have any more, if y'all want me to make a part 2 on this, it's so much that goes into home ownership. I could really probably do a series every week about it. From the changes of interest rates, due diligence, inspections, just stories, negotiate. It's so much we can go. But I won't just make this a pure real estate channel. But if you all want segments and parts of that, I have no problem doing that. 2. We talked about it a little bit. A question everybody asks is like, kind of, how much is my down payment? How much is my closing costs? Like, what is that going to look like? So your down payment is about, and also earnest money. People always want to know. Earnest money is about 1% of the purchase price. That's what you'll put in. Your earnest money does go towards your closing costs. So if you put up $2,500, when you get to the closing table, they're going to deduct that from whatever your out-of-pocket expenses are. Now, your down payment is gonna, honestly, it just depends on what kind of loan you have. So for FHA loans, which is what most first-time home buyers use, FHA loans, it's 3.5%, 3.5% of the purchase price. For VA loans, VA, most of them do not have down payments. So if you are a veteran, in most cases will not have a down payment. And for conventional, those rates can just vary. It just depends on the lender. So yes, let's just go with the traditional 3.5% for FHA. That's typical. That's what most first-time home buyers are going to use when purchasing. Earnest money about 1%. Closing costs can range anywhere from 3 to 5% of the purchase price. So the good thing about this is, of course, you can always just calculate the numbers on your own. But one good thing is a lot of times there are programs that will help you with down payment or closing costs. So in Georgia, we have a big program called Georgia Dream. Georgia Dream offers about $10,000 in down payment assistance. You have to have, oh God, what are my Georgia Dream qualifications? I think it's a 640 credit score. You just need a 640 credit score. You have to be a resident of Georgia. The guidelines are honestly not bad at all. Most first-time home buyers will qualify, at least if they have a 640 credit score. And they, of course, live in Georgia. I don't really have a lot of clients that have problems getting the Georgia Dream. The only way it kicks them out of Georgia Dream is, I want to say, because I think Georgia Dream may take debt to income in consideration, but I think it's higher. I think the thresholds are really high. So don't quote me on that, but a lot of people qualify for Georgia Dream. And they offer $10,000 in down payment assistance. Now, Georgia Dream, I love y'all. Thank y'all for helping my clients. Now, Georgia Dream can be a little slow, but it's worth the $10,000 because they are serious about your credit score. I had a client who he had like a 700 and some collection came out of nowhere. It was an old cell phone bill, knocked his credit score down 80 points 2 weeks before freaking closing. 2 weeks. And he lost Georgia Dream. It took his credit score down into the low 620s, and they were like, no, sorry, he does not qualify anymore. The good news is his credit score, he paid off the credit, and luckily his points came back. I think he ended up getting 50 or 60 points back within we waited about a month. We waited about 3 or 4 weeks, and his points ended up coming back because it happened towards the end of the month. And so yeah, and he requalified for Georgia Dream. So it's a really great program, but you have down payment assistance programs that if you're saying, okay, I want to buy a home. This home is $250,000. I only have like maybe $10,000 for closing costs, or I only saved up like $10,000 to $13,000. So I don't really have money for that closing costs and down payment. What can I do? Well, Georgia Dream's saying, hey, we'll step in. 3.5 will give you $10,000. And so on most homes, because Georgia Dream has a threshold, I don't think you can get more than a $50,000 home. And so Georgia Dream will give you up to $10,000. That's a really, really good program. A lot of lenders have in-house programs as well. Now, if you use a lender's in-house, a lot of times that plays a little bit with the interest rates. Like sometimes it'll go up like 0.5% interest rates if you use down payment, but still they'll give you some money. So it just depends on what kind of program that you're using. But I always tell people, if it's your first time buying a home, use your benefits, okay? They are there, and you know, it's the most cost-efficient thing for you to do at the beginning of your loan. I'm telling you. So yes, Georgia Dream, if you're in the state of Georgia, and using in-house lenders. So if just ask your lender, hey, do you all have down payment assistance? Do you all help out with closing costs? And they'll tell you. Just like I kind of told you earlier that Zillow offers $1,500 credit if you close with them. So yeah, they'll tell you kind of what they offer. So always make sure any benefits that you can get, you are getting. What are some other expenses of buying a home? So we talked a little bit about this. So inspection can run you about $300. That's out of pocket. Appraisals can run about $500 out of pocket. FHA, sometimes depending on the home, they may require a termite inspection. I've only had that happen one time, and the termite was like $175. So it just depends on what, you know, type of inspection has to be done based on your loan, but those are out-of-pocket expenses. Everything else is pretty straightforward. Like upfront, you know you have to have your earnest money, you know you need your closing costs, you know you need your down payment. Those are straightforward. But those other expenses, people don't count on. And I just named, y'all, that stuff I just named, that's close to $800 to $1,000. So those are some other expenses. Just make sure, like inspection, appraisal, like any other little small stuff that may come with like maybe an FHA loan or maybe a VA loan, to make sure the house qualifies, you're gonna have to pay for that out of pocket, and they do not give you that money back. So those are the other expenses that can be associated with buying a home as well. What else? I feel like that's a good start. So yeah. I think I'm just going to end with like things you should know. Like, go ahead and know your credit score. Most for FHA, you only need a 580, but of course the stronger your credit score is, the better. You're just going to be a better buyer if you have a better credit score. You're going to qualify for more. You're going to qualify for more programs. You're going to qualify for better interest rates. You're going to have more the better your credit is, but technically you only need a 580. If you can stay at that 640 range and up, that's better, because now you're talking about, oh, you need the most money possible. So if you're at that 580, you'll still qualify, and if you have a healthy savings where you can cover all your expenses, absolutely go for it. If not, work your way up to around that 640 range so that you can make sure you get your down payment assistance, you know, make sure your loan is going to go through and you'll be okay. So I think just make sure you know your credit score, know what areas that you're looking for. I'm gonna be honest, y'all, it's really no point in you searching for homes 5 months plus out. We don't, interest rates change daily or weekly, but they definitely at a monthly basis. So interest rates are never guaranteed. You can't lock those in until you actually officially start your process. The market changes, home prices could change. We could shift between a buyer's market and a seller's market. That can happen in the course of like a month or two. And so we get a lot of people that'll call and they're like, oh, I'm gonna buy a home next year or 6 months. Yeah, honestly, guys, if you know that home ownership is your goal, when you start reaching out to professionals, give yourself about 3 or 4 months. Anything after that, it's gonna fluctuate a lot. Like I said, pre-approvals are good for around 3 days. 3 days. Pre-approvals are good for around 30 days. 30 days, I'm crazy. 90 guys. Pre-approvals are good for 90 days. That's 3 months. You know, it's gonna take you time to search for a home. Programs like Georgia Dream, they take 30 to 45 days to close. You still have to do your pre-approval, get pre-approved, search for homes, put in an offer, get those accepted, and start the process. That in itself can take up to 3 to 4 weeks. So definitely, if you know you're going to purchase, start reaching out about 3 to 4 months in advance. That way you're getting the most accurate rates possible for when you start, putting in your offers for homes, and you just have the most accurate information. You already know you're going to move, and if you find a home that you love, you don't have to worry about it leaving the market, because nobody's keeping their home on the market for 6 months for you. If you're like, hey, this is my dream home, the seller is trying to sell, they're trying to make money, so they want their home sold as quickly as possible. So if you really, when it's time, just get all your ducks in a row and then start reaching out and getting your process moving. So yes, know your credit score. Make sure your savings is healthy. You're gonna need a good bit of money for down payment and closing costs. Like, let's say you qualify for something higher and you get the $10,000. Well, $10,000 could cover a $250,000 home. It could cover that down payment for sure. Your closing costs, it could, that may be a $13,000 out of pocket. It could be. And so you just want to have as much money saved up as possible. Of course, we can work in your budget. If it's not $250,000, I'm just using it as an example, it could be $150,000 or $200,000, or, depending on the state or city that you're in, home prices can fluctuate. So it just really depends on where you are. Honestly, it just depends on where you are, but we'll work within that budget. Just have a good savings and tell your agent what you have. If you say, hey, I had this lady call me and she said, listen, all I have is $10,000. That's gonna have to cover inspections, appraisals, everything. What can I do? And she had a great approval because she has great credit, she has a good job, she just got a raise, and she qualified for something like she qualified for like $340. But when we got down to it, what she wanted to pay monthly, she had a goal set in her mind. Hey, I want to pay this monthly, and here's my savings. What can I do? I said, okay, we're not going to be using $340. We're going to be using $275. And she was like, okay, that's okay with me as long as that's in my budget. And so we're able to work around that. And that's, that's what works. So have your budget set up, kind of come to your agent. You don't have to, we're professionals. You don't have to be so extremely prepared. I don't want you to be scared. Like, that's our job. We're gonna walk you through it. I'm making this video really to give you like what those beginner tips look like and to really help you when you start, because the more prepared you are, honestly, the smoother your process is gonna go, and probably the better you're gonna have a relationship with your agent, because your agent's probably gonna be like, you're making my job easier, like, this is great. But just it's no such thing as being well prepared. And those are just a few tips that I think will really, really help someone wanting to prepare to buy a home. Those are some great tips. Like, you can't go wrong with having a good credit score, having a healthy savings, and kind of having an idea of what you want. You let your agent work out the rest. When it comes to, a lot of people kind of come in and they want to know about the contracts and how, y'all, we studied long hours, and we took a hard test. We took a hard test. We're in the industry every day writing contracts and going through it. So it's nowhere you're going to really be able to be as knowledgeable as an agent or a lender or someone that's in this field, because it is a lot of information, honestly, and it's not for you to know. It's not for you to be overwhelmed. So just ask as many questions as you can, come as prepared as you can, and just ask questions. And that's the one thing I'm very open about. I do not want any of my clients to be confused. I don't want them to not understand what they're getting, and I want them to really be comfortable with the process. So that is extremely, extremely important that you have that in your agent, and you and your agent will build a process. The last thing I want to say about that, because people don't talk about it enough, and I just hear so much, the agents, turn your ears off, because I know a lot of agents are not going to like this. Guys, you can fire your agent if you want. You are not bound to work with an agent. If an agent is treating you like crap, if they're not answering your phone, if they're not doing their job, if you keep texting and calling and they're not communicating well, you fire them. There are thousands of us who would love to work with new people and try to communicate as best as we can, who are going to answer the phone. We're working for you. And keep that in mind. As a client, they work for you. We are here to make sure you get a home. You know what I mean? So I feel like a lot of people are scared. Like, I had my nail tech call me because she was just like, her mom is in another state, and the agent is just being so awful, and I hate it. Like, she's like, and I was like, why does she continue to work with him? And she's like, well, she doesn't speak good English, and so she's just, you know, like, she doesn't know what to do. And I was like, fire them. There are so many. We have referral networks. Call one of you. Everybody, somebody can find a real estate agent. Heck, you can call me and say, hey, who's the agent in Ohio? We have firms for that. So we have referral partners. So what I'll do is I'll call some agents and say, hey, who do we have in our network in Ohio? Who do we have in our network in Tennessee? And we'll refer you to someone that's going to do good business, but you don't have to work with people that are doing bad business. You are a customer. Your dollar is green. You know what that means? That means in the United States of America, it spends everywhere. So make sure that your agent is doing good business and answering your questions, and don't be afraid to ask those questions. So yeah, that was my tidbit on real estate, first time home buyers. Thank y'all for tuning in. I am back, baby, okay? We are back week after week again. Not quitting until we get to 100. But I do, as always, want to extend my gratitude for y'all tuning in. Like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe. Thank y'all again. Happy holidays. I'm saying that now, but I'll probably talk to y'all at least twice more before then. But just have a great week. Go forward. Share this with someone you know maybe wanting to buy a home, that's interested in preparing themselves for home ownership. And yeah, so blessings to you all. Toodles.